If you're living anywhere in 2021, chances are you've heard a lot of talk about the different COVID-19 vaccines, and you might be having some trouble figuring out what's true and what's not. Today, I'm going to break it down for you, starting from the very beginning with how viruses work. A virus is a non-living parasite that must use a host cell to reproduce. Basically, it takes over a cell in the body and then forces it to make proteins that cause the effects of the virus we see and allow it to reproduce. Retroviruses, such as HIV, reverse the natural flow of DNA by transcribing its own genome into the host cell's DNA through reverse transcription. This causes the cells to keep replicating this infected DNA that lets it take over. You've probably heard that COVID-19 is an mRNA virus, so let's take a closer look at what that means. As you can see here, DNA is a double-stranded molecule, while RNA is single-stranded. DNA also uses thymine, while RNA has uracil. The main purpose of RNA is to copy the instructions in DNA and use them to make proteins. When COVID-19 enters the cell, this is what happens. First, outer spike proteins attach to the cell's receptors, specifically the ACE2 receptor. Then the virus releases its genetic material into our healthy cells. It's important to remember at this part that COVID's genetic material isn't in the form of DNA. It's RNA that starts telling the cell to make proteins. Third, the RNA tricks the cell into creating proteins for the virus. Now, how does the COVID-19 vaccine work for this virus? The COVID-19 virus causes cells to produce something called a spike protein. The spike protein itself is actually harmless, it's just there to let the virus spread. The idea behind the vaccine is that the cells will get the mRNA from the vaccine, make the spike protein, and then show it on top of the cell. This makes the immune system start producing antibodies as a response to what it thinks is the virus. The antibodies produced protect the person against getting COVID in the future. So will the mRNA vaccine give you COVID? No way. All the mRNA vaccine does is produce the spike protein to trigger the antibodies. The spike protein by itself is harmless, but it is enough to make your immune system say, hey, something isn't right here, and respond to it. Now you know, when it's your turn to get the vaccine, get it without fear and help stop the spread.